Cryonics, The Search for Meaning in Life and Death by Eleri Gaffey-Cosslett. The problem of God, the self, the world is something every human being struggles with. It's universal. Everyone, from one time or another, I believe, has considered the deeper questions of life. Why am I here? Who created this world? What is the meaning of life? And the questions this video will discuss. What will happen when I die? We can see their prevalence in different areas of life, in our media, in trending narratives, cultural initiatives, artistic expression, as well as in commercialized products. We'll be looking at one which highlights man's preoccupation with death, cryonics. Cryonics is the process of storing deceased human bodies at extremely low temperatures with the hope that one day we will have the science to revive these dead bodies and they will be able to live again. This idea may seem fanciful and unrealistic, but there is some science behind this idea. There have been news stories over the years of people falling through ice into frozen lakes for up to an hour before being rescued, and once rescued, surviving because the icy water put their body into a sort of suspended animation, slowing down their metabolism and brain function to the point where they needed almost zero oxygen. Cryonics claims to work similarly to this. Although cryonics is illegal to perform on someone who is alive, it is allowed to be done on people who are only legally dead. The definition of legally dead is different to totally dead. Those who are only legally dead no longer have a beating heart, but have some cellular brain function remaining. And so cryonics preserves this little cell function so that theoretically the person can be resuscitated in the future, if the technology and methods are found, that is. So we have a process that has a slim chance of allowing you to, in a way, live forever. This may be appealing for a lot of people who fear the eternal blackness of death, but what would it cost you, and is it worth it for a technology that is still unproven? Well, if you decide cryonic suspension is for you, you first have to become a member of a cryonics facility, paying an annual membership fee of around $400 a year. One day, when your heart stops beating and you are pronounced legally dead by a healthcare professional, the emergency response team from your cryonics facility will rush over to collect you. They will stabilize your body, preserve your minimal brain function, and transport you to a suspension facility, where you will then be stored indefinitely in liquid nitrogen. And of course, beforehand, you must pay the storage fee, which can cost up to $150,000 to have your whole body preserved. There is also the option to pay the cheaper but still costly price of $50,000 to preserve the brain alone, with the hopes that in the future there will be technology to fix you up a shiny new body. How popular is cryonic suspension? Are people really so preoccupied with death that they would splash their cash on something so unreliable? Well, it is thought that there are over 300 people currently being stored in cryonic facilities, with more having memberships to facilities with the hopes of one day being stored in one. Whilst the science of reviving a frozen body has yet to be discovered, some scientists have hope that nanotechnology will make revival a reality someday, using microscopic machines to manipulate single atoms to repair and build cells and tissue. Some scientists predict the first cryonic revival might occur by the year 2040. As well as the hundreds of people currently in cryonic suspension, we can also see the popularity of the idea in many Hollywood movies, such as Austin Powers, Vanilla Sky, and 2001: A Space Odyssey. Cryonics is clearly an idea which excites many people. The popularity of cryonics clearly points to man's search for meaning in life and consequently in death. The fear of death is a very common phobia. Many people are afraid of what will come once they meet their demise. This links to the common fear of the unknown. People believe that no one has been to the place after death and returned to let us know how it is. Therefore, people are in the dark as to what will happen once they die. They have no way to prepare. They have no way to be in control. They are at the will of the Grim Reaper. Many religions and philosophers have theorized as to what happens when people pass away. They can mainly be grouped into two distinct themes: those that believe there is a personal self, and those who believe in a blur form of consciousness. Those who believed in a personal self include Plato, Aquinas, and the religions of the ancient Greek world. They believed that upon death, the soul did move on to somewhere else, such as the underworld as proposed by the Greeks, purgatory as theorized by Aquinas, and paradise as believed by the Abrahamic religions. Ideas that align with the blur of consciousness theory include the ideas of Hegel and Buddhism. Hegel believed that through a journey of self-discovery, we could find our absolute spirit and understand the infinity, possibly transcending this life. Buddhism argues the point of reincarnation, but death is a cycle and the soul is repeatedly entering new bodies. With enough karma, the soul will enter nirvana. In the holy book of Christianity, the Bible, a different idea is found, one which doesn't require a roll of the dice, but simply faith in a man who has proved that death is not the end. In 4 different accounts, the death of Jesus was recorded. He was crucified upon a cross by the Romans. His dead body was pierced with a sword to ensure he was dead, and he was laid inside a tomb with a large stone rolled in front of the entrance. And Roman guards stood by to ensure Jesus' disciples would not remove the body and claim a resurrection occurred. However, we read that he did indeed rise again, as he promised he would. He appeared to his disciples and showed them the wounds in his hands to prove it was him, and ate with them to prove he wasn't a ghost. And with Jesus' death and resurrection, he defeated death. He made a way for us to never have to experience the dark side of death, or rather paradise, as he promised his fellow crucifixion victim on the cross who showed faith. Jesus has passed from life to death and returned, showing that there is life after death. There is an eternal paradise. Cryonics tries to promise that death is not the end by one day bringing a person back to this life, although of course this life will also one day end. In finding a conclusion to the search for meaning in death, one has to put their hope and faith in something that promises that this life is not the end.